Yo, what's up everyone? It's me again. So welcome to my day one build update video for Lightning Strike Gladiator. This character is currently level 86 and I will definitely say this build in its state right now is definitely surpassing my expectations. I think is actually really good. There was a little bit of growing pains like trying to respec this and getting through that awkward phase where you're in white maps trying to respec from Sunder into this skill. But after you get past that initial uncomfortable stage, the build is actually insane, I think. But before we go into the build itself, I have some content. I have a shipment that has taken me 2 hours to, finish, and I'm about to see what I get from it. So, wow. We were out negotiated and received a quarter less. Okay, whatever. Well, let's see how good this 2 hour long shipment is. Wow, I waited 2 hours for that. What a bunch of fucking shit. That is like the 6th or 7th shipment I've done today, and all of them have been like this. They've all just been garbage. They need to buff it. Anyway, onto the build itself. So first I'm just going to do a map to show you guys how the build plays, and then I'll talk about the tech. Although before we go into the map, I just want to show you guys my tree. This is my tree, level 86. The only thing that is notable here is that I decided to go with a suggestion that multiple people have said in comments, which is to take Gratuitous Violence. And this is weird. Why would you take Fizz Explode on a Lightning Strike build? Well, 2 reasons. First reason, as a lot of people are aware, is that Cornered Prey is insanely overpowered. I tested it out. It is indeed insanely overpowered. The amount of crit chance and multi that it gives you is insane. And then in addition, you get 20% chance to bleed. And then the Gladiator Ascendancy node here, the travel node gives you an additional 15% chance to bleed. So this build has 35% chance to bleed in total. And Lightning Strike hits a lot of times. And it turns out that with 35% chance to bleed and 20% explode, that is actually very, very good for clear. The explode actually helps so much that you don't even need to take Tribal Fury. Before I took Gratuitous Violence, I needed Tribal Fury because the clear just was not there. But after I took this, you don't even need Tribal Fury at all. So you can save 4 to 5 skill points here. And it's really good. And then not only, there's a lot of synergy here. Not only do you get 35% chance to explode with this build for 20%, but you also get 35% chance to bleed, which then gives you all this bonus crit chance and multi. And this is so much crit that you indeed don't even need to go for Heartseeker. You don't need a Diamond Flask. I don't even know why I have one, probably because I don't really have very good crit chance on my weapons right now. But in the endgame PoE, you don't need a Diamond Flask. All you need to do is take Cornered Prey, and your crit chance is 100%, just all the time. It's actually totally broken. But yeah, just bear in mind that this is how I built this character. It did turn out that War of Attrition was really bad, so I ended up dropping this. There's no noticeable impact in mapping, and maybe apart from Uber boss fights, I think it's 100% useless. So yeah, this way of building it I think is good. And that's basically the build. And then for my aura setup, I am running Anger and Precision as my 2 main auras. Anger for damage, of course, and then Precision for accuracy crit chance. And then I'm also running Automation Blood Rage. And then in order to support the Automation Blood Rage, I have Vitality. And I found that this allows me to have really good uptime. And in fact, Vitality, Automation, Blood Rage, as a 3-thing combo, allows you to permanently sustain Blood Rage and your life doesn't even go down. That is with Golem's Blood as the only other source of regen. It's enough. So that's really cool. And then in single target situations, I just turn it off. In single target, you don't need Vitality or Blood Rage, and then that gives you a little bit more unreserved life. And I just run it like this, because in single target, I mean, you could turn it on in single target as well, but I would rather have 300 more life in single target, but you could just leave it on all the time as well. And yeah, that's basically my setup right now. Let me just show you guys like what it's like to play this. So I'll just do a tier 10 because that's the highest map that I have right now. Extra fizz is lightning, whatever. So we'll just do this. Lower the volume a bit. Okay, so this build definitely surpassed my expectations. Like the damage is so carried by Cornered Prey, it's not even funny. The clear is so carried by Gratuitous Violence, and the Lucky Block makes your avoidance so insane. Like when I took the Lucky Block node for the first time, I was just like, it's actually crazy. Like when you have this node, the amount of avoidance you have is just insane. Like I'm not even kidding. Like it feels like you almost never get hit. The only bad thing about this build is that the HP pool is kind of low, and you don't really have any easy way to get fizz mitigation other than armor. And you know, I only have like 4,000 armor right now because my gear is bad. So that's definitely the weakest point. In the endgame PoE, you can get up to 10,000 armor, but 10,000 armor is like not really that much armor. So the one weakness is like you may die to big hits if you don't block, but I found the like other aspects of the build so good that like I don't even think it mattered. So like in my endgame PoE here, I really made an effort to like get my life pool as high as possible. Like I try to take every life node possible. I try to take armor nodes if I can. But yeah, anything to get that like life pool up so that your avoidance can like be comfy, I think this is like good. But yeah, let's show you guys how this plays. So it's very fast. The clear is really good. It's a tier 10 map on day 1. So as you can see, everything dies instantly, and you can kind of see the monsters explode if you pay enough attention. Yeah, there you go, that was another explode. You can even hear it as well. If I stop yapping, you can probably hear it more. But yeah, in mapping, you have like, there's like nothing even to be afraid of. Wow, that rare hit me twice in a row through Lucky Block there. That's very unfortunate. But it didn't hit me 3 times in a row. So yeah, like the league mechanic mobs, you know, easy to deal with. Like the rares die because you have 100% crit chance, and Cornered Prey gives you an insane amount of damage. And then Whirling Blades and Frostblink makes you move around really fast. So in mapping, you can basically kill everything, and the avoidance makes it feel really, really smooth. It's 65 block with Lucky Block as soon as you block a single hit. So the block ended up feeling extremely good. And yeah, it's basically the build. Not much to say, just lightning strike. Do bear in mind that I do have very low life because I prioritized damage nodes and my gear sucks. But in the endgame PoE, there will be more life. But like even with this amount of life, I think you have enough avoidance that you can do like high yellow, early red maps just without even thinking. Like you don't have to be scared to do these maps. This map does have bonus damage, so it is a little bit scary, but like not that scary. So yeah, see if we can find the boss here. And yeah, this map doesn't have very big density, unfortunately, but like in maps that have more density, oh, you see that explode? Like that entire pack just exploded, and that was sick. Like in maps with like more density, the build is even crazier. You just trigger the bleed explode and it just kills everything. Alright, and then this is a single target DPS. I'm not sure why it's bad, but maybe because there's 2 and I'm not hitting the one that has Assassin's Mark on it. But okay, the damage is usually better than this. I don't know what's going on. But like, oh, wait, look at that! It's Kitava's Thirst. Now I can reroll Archmage. Sick. Yeah, I'm not sure why my damage sucked, but it's usually better than this. Like the damage feels pretty good. Like things die when you hit them. Like monsters die, rares die. You can kill every rare that you see. Like I can't think of, like very, very rarely, like 1 in 20, 1 in 50 rares you can't kill. But like most rares are just like this one. You just attack them and you die like this. And that's basically it. So yeah, that's basically the build. And let me just talk about some other stuff as well. So yeah, as you can see, it definitely surpassed my expectations. So what is there to really talk about? You know, this is the tree. A lot of it is pretty standard lightning strike stuff. This is the way that I built the ascendancy. I talked about why Gratuitous Violence Cornered Prey is a combo. It helps out a lot on clear and single target. And then, you know, max block with 90-90 lucky block when you block. So let me just talk, what else is there to talk about here? My gear is pretty random. Most of my gear is just trying to like cap life, try to cap res and also get some life as well. A lot of my gear doesn't even have life, which is probably why my life pool sucks, but I just was like kind of struggling to cap res as it is day one. These boots really helped out a lot. I unveiled these boots and they just happened to have movement speed onslaught. And it's very difficult for this build to have onslaught if you don't get this mod on your boots. So this is really good. And then the gloves, I unveiled Pierce. And unveiling Pierce allowed me to save 3 points to get piercing shots. So that was very helpful. I don't have additional strike on my gloves yet, but for now, I'm just using the attack mastery up here to get the additional strike. And then when I do get the additional strike, I'll probably respec this into monsters cannot block. Or you could leave it on additional strike, doesn't really matter. And that's basically all for my gear. The only interesting thing is the onslaught boots and the pierce gloves. Everything else is just life and res. Nothing too exciting to talk about here. And then the weapons, just random weapons. This weapon I picked up off the ground and I unveiled the penetration on it. I don't think it's ideal. I think it's maybe better if it has lightning damage on it. I don't know. It's a very close call either way. But it's just double elemental, attack speed, crit chance, pen, which was pretty good. The base is not optimal, but whatever. And then my other weapon is tier 3, tier 5 damage, and I crafted lightning damage, and then it had high attack speed, so I just decided to use it. Doesn't have crit chance, unfortunately, but you know, it's good enough for day one. So like this kind of item, you can just like either identify off the ground or just like do a bunch of betrayal and then unveil, and that's basically it. And then in the offhand, I'm trying to level some lightning strikes to 20, and then I'm going to try to get a Val lightning strike, and then maybe use lab to get like a 20/20 Val lightning strike as well, because quality on lightning strike is important. You do get the additional projectile, so yeah. And then that's basically it for my gear. Another thing that I realized is this build in the endgame needs like blue, blue, red, red, green, green. And I found that it was like very difficult to get the right colors on a strength base. So I decided to take iron reflexes and I changed my endgame POB to use a triumphant lamellar, which in practice you would just use one of the new bases that has like the best armor and evasion on them. And I basically just have iron reflexes to gain that extra bit of armor from the body, because it's like difficult to color and you actually do get more armor using this kind of base. And then the other items can just stay strength because the other sockets are just whatever, you know, 3 red, 2 red, you know, that works out. Oh, I meant to put vitality in here. So yeah. Situational vitality, or you could just leave it on. So yeah, that's basically the build. And then for sockets, this build is interesting because you do have a lot of free sockets. I just couldn't think of anything. So, you know, Assassin's Mark on hit, of course. I ended up doing Whirling Blades faster attacks momentum just because I had, you know, free sockets. And, you know, momentum makes Whirling Blades feel really good. If I just hold it down, you can see how fast I can traverse. You know, like this. Throw in a Frostblink as well every now and then. It's very fast. Even faster if you have Onslaught. Very, very good movement skill. And then Blood Rage Automation for Frenzy Charges, and then CWDT Steel Skin. If I can get enough armor, I would replace the CWDT Steel Skin with Molten Shell, but whatever. And then I have increased duration, or more duration, and then Defiance Banner here. I guess I could put that in the PoE as well. Oh, I do have that in here. Something like this. And then like Precision. This is technically better, because then you can get the banner to have more duration as well. Although this banner, I'm not sure it's even necessary. It's definitely optional. This banner kind of sucks, to be honest. The only reason I have this is that, like, at 2020, you can get 40% movement speed in a small area. So I was thinking, like, when you're doing the league mechanic, you just pop down this banner and you get like a very small amount of suppression, a very small amount of movement skill. And I don't know, maybe that helps you very marginally when you're doing like the run in circle league mechanic bullshit. But, you know, the banner kind of sucks. You can barely feel the impact of this, but I have it here because I had free sockets, and like on paper it's like okay, so that's great. And that's basically it for the sockets. And then Eternal Blessing Anger, of course, Frostblink and Vitality, and then Precision. And I am on a 4-link right now as well. That, you know, there's a 4-link gameplay. Trinity, Multi-Strike, Lightning Strike at level 19, and Nightblade. These 4 gems are basically mandatory. I also will say that it turns out that increased critical strikes is never good. So my thoughts originally were that, like, when you just get out of the campaign, your damage is not going to be very good and your crit chance is going to be low. And because of that, I thought that you would need increased critical strikes. But it turns out that between Nightblade, Cornered Prey, Weapon Master, and, you know, all the crit that you get on the tree, it turns out that your crit chance is actually not that bad to begin with. And Trinity just ended up giving a lot more damage, like even right out of campaign. So I guess I learned something new. And yeah, so basically use Trinity, and everything else here is just whatever. I have Wrath here, which you can use, but it's a lot harder to manage the int, so maybe just not. But if you like don't have lightning damage and you have int for some reason, you can use that. But yeah, this is like the bare minimum to get started. And that's basically it. And then another thing that I found was interesting was that, so initially when I was POBing this, I thought that a cluster jewel setup with the dual wielding cluster was good, because there was a lot of damage on the large cluster jewel. And while that is true, the problem is that large cluster jewels are not really efficient unless you have mediums. If I only ran that large cluster, it would be a 10-point investment for 2.5 million damage, which is like 250k damage per point, which is like not that good. Like, it's like okay, but when your damage is already like 7 million, getting an additional like 250 damage per point is like not that substantial. And the problem is that there weren't really any good medium cluster jewel options available. And like, because of Cornered Prey giving so much crit chance and multi, like, you ended up like, this build is able to hit 100% like true crit chance without a diamond flask at 100% uptime, with the power charges from Assassin's Mark giving you that extra like 2%. So the fact that you can get that kind of crit chance like just on the tree and with like very minimal crit on your gear, like I only have crit on my amulet a little bit and on the 2 claws, and that's it. And then precision, and that's all the crit chance I have. And that with Weapon Master is enough to get 100% true crit chance, which is crazy. So like, without the crit medium cluster jewel, there is like no medium cluster jewel that's worth it for this build, really. So I don't think the large cluster jewel is justified. I think you would be better off just putting points into life. And then if you do happen to get a crit multi-jewel, like 7% life with like 2 or 3 crit multi things on it, then you can just like take all these two passive jewel nodes and put the multi-jewels in there. And in the Giga endgame, you would probably have a timeless jewel here, and then a crit multi-jewel here, and a crit multi-jewel here. And then you would just like take off whatever nodes to get them. Probably take off this shitty rage node up here. So yeah. I guess I can just like make a new one here. But I mean like you get the point. You just put the timeless jewel here and the multi-jewels here, and it's pretty straightforward. I guess I may as well just make a new tree. Copy early late. Oops, what the fuck? Late endgame jewels. And what you would basically do is probably take off this rage wheel because it has the lowest value, and then get this and this and this. And I guess if you're here already, you may as well spend the point, like 1 point frenzy charge, because you do have frenzy charge on hit from the mark mastery and also blood rage. And then, you know, just put in this one, you would put the timeless jewel, and then in this one you would put the multi, and this one also multi-jewel. And then your tree would look something like this, and you would have more damage than the last one, and you would have more life. So this is probably what you would go for in an endgame scenario. Oh, I should probably change the bandit as well. I think Kraden is actually maybe not ideal. I think maybe Alira is the best, actually. I mean, the 8% movement speed is nice, but the 15 res is like build defining. I would probably go Alira. And then you can just like take off whatever shitty small nodes. Yeah, man, I don't even know. Maybe take off this one. I mean, this one's Calling Strike. But you would probably just take this off or whatever. But it's like level 100. Something like this. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. So that's basically the build. Long story short, Cornered Prey X Gratuitous Violence gives you infinite clear and infinite damage on single target, or just damage in general, because you can bleed multiple enemies at once. And it does work. If you attack enemies and you wait for a little bit, they definitely bleed. I can maybe even demonstrate that here. Like, I mean, should I demonstrate it? I mean, it definitely works. Like, this build has physical damage. May as well just demonstrate it. So, yeah. So I was initially a little bit worried that, like, if your physical damage was, like, giga low, that it would not bleed, but it does bleed. Like, you have very small physical damage from the base of your weapon, and you're only converting 50% of it with the lightning strike gem. So, like, this small amount of physical damage actually is enough to bleed. Like, you just hit some mobs and just walk around, like, alright, well, this is a tier 6 map, so everything's gonna die instantly. Okay, essence monster. So, like, if you hit this essence, like, a little bit, and you go back, oh, fuck, it died. Alright, the damage is too high, I can't even demonstrate. Like, but it works. Like, see there? That guy's bleeding. That dude's bleeding. So, like, it definitely works. And with a 35% chance to bleed and, like, multiple hits, usually you just need to attack a target for, like, 2 seconds and they're bleeding already. So it's just very efficient. So yeah, that's basically the build. Cool. And then I guess I want to spend the last part of this video maybe just talking about things that worked, things that did not work. So I tried retaliation skills. I tried to use the retaliation skill that was for dual wielding. Sword Storm, I believe it was called. Yeah. So I thought this maybe had something, but it turned out to be bullshit. The damage output of Sword Storm was so low that, like, you literally couldn't even see the damage, like, when you press the skill. So I was, like, spamming it on a 4 link with like 3 damage links, and it was doing like 10% of the damage as like 1 auto attack. So I don't really know what's going on with these retaliation skills. I think they're bad, at least for this build. Maybe if you like giga specialize into them, they could be good, but tacking on a retaliation skill to this build has 0 impact. Maybe even negative impact because you lose sockets and brain cells. So yeah, retaliation skills ended up not being good, unfortunately. What else did I try out? I also tried out tinctures. Like I have a couple of tinctures here, but these also I ended up not liking. Like these buffs on paper, like 94% damage, like, oh, it looks so good. But like, I mean, first of all, this is blood magic, but even if this was not blood magic, this just ended up being very mediocre. It turns out that like I was able to run, like if I had like 50 mana, I was able to run this for like 10 seconds before I ran out of mana. And at that point, it's basically a flask, right? So like instead of this, you could just run like a silver flask and get onslaught for 8 seconds and not have your mana be drained. Or you could like run like a sulfur flask and get 40% increased damage or whatever, and like an additional suffix, or, you know, there's like a lot of flasks that are good to run and they don't drain your mana. So tinctures to me seemed like just flasks with downsides. So I ended up not running tinctures just ever, not during leveling, not in campaign, not in maps, just never. And there is this node here that I was curious about, Blood-Soaked Blade, which you could like put your tinctures into, like you can make them drain your life instead of mana. But I don't know, I just don't feel like there's a point in this. Like losing life is like so bad. Like why would you intentionally lose your life? You know, it makes no sense. And like why would I want to drain potentially a large amount of life just for 100% increased damage, which is like not even that much. Like you could just run a sulfur flask with like additional effect or whatever. Like it makes no sense. I don't know, maybe if you spec like really heavily into tinctures, or you get like a unique one or something, maybe it could be good. But as far as I'm concerned, they're shit, and I don't know if I ever want to run these. So tinctures also very mid. You know, that's whatever. What else did I experiment with? Oh, gold. It turns out that respecking with gold is actually like, it's very interesting. So like, I would say that like when you're in like white maps or like early yellows, like respecking with gold is really good. And it's like very cheap to respec when you're lower level. But the like as you get like higher and higher level, like it gets more and more expensive. So like right now, I'm level 86. And to respec 1 point with gold is like 5k gold, which kind of takes a long time to get. So like while you still can do it, it kind of does start to suck. Like to respec like one ascendancy node, for example, costs you like 30k. So yeah, like it's an interesting mechanic. Like if you're lower level, it's really good. But like the higher and higher you get, the worse and worse that option becomes for you. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I did end up like using a lot of these like gold respecs early on, and it was very helpful. But yeah, there's that. So yeah, that's basically it. Not much else to talk about. League mechanic the league itself is pretty good. Melee is crazy. Like I have never had an easier time leveling a melee character ever. It's actually crazy. Like I was saying on stream that like leveling a melee character right now is like leveling a melee character at League Start right now feels like leveling a melee character last league with like a tabula and like perfect like leveling items. Like it's just crazy. But yeah, the league is good. Melee rebalance is good. Rage is good. Removal of totems is good. League mechanic is kind of interesting, but it's also, I don't know, like fundamentally it's a cool mechanic, but I have only gotten like the worst loot ever, and I didn't get a single good thing like all day from this mechanic. So I don't know. I think maybe it might need a rebalance, but I don't know, it's kind of fun. I just wish the loot was a bit better, but yeah, that's about it. Okay, that's gonna be it for me for this video. If you want to see like my journey, like leveling this character from level 1, you can like check out my Twitch VOD. I streamed like 10 hours before this, so like my voice is sore, but yeah, you know, pretty normal stuff. Spectral Throw into Sunder, into Lightning Strike reroll sometime in like white maps. I did actually find Ground Slam of Earthshaking, so I did use that instead of Sunder, but it's basically the same thing. Like the damage effectiveness on that gem and Sunder is the same. It's just that they have different patterns. Like Sunder goes in a line, Ground Slam of Earthshaking goes in like a half circle shape, but like the damage is the same. Maybe Sunder even has more damage because Sunder has the chance to double hit, but Ground Slam cannot double hit. So yeah. If you want to check out the leveling process and my early frustrations, like figuring out this build, you can, you know, check out my VOD, but yep, that's about it. I will probably be live tomorrow on Twitch at some point in like 8 hours or so, just like scaling this character into red maps, hopefully getting more than a freaking 4-link. And yeah, build turned out a little bit different than I expected, but in a very good way. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching.